You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 299 of Podketeers. This week we talk about a special new documentary coming soon by the women of Pixar. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway opens at Hollywood Studios. Grant Imahara constructs one of the most adorable animatronics that we've ever seen. We catch up on some of the March Mayhem action. And remember that you can vote daily while the tournament is going on through our Instagram stories. Plus, we talk about COVID-19, aka the coronavirus, and some of the things that you can do when visiting the parks or even in your daily life to try to prevent yourself from being infected. Remember that you can join the conversation over on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Just search for Podketeers, or by leaving a comment on the blog post for this episode at podketeers.com/299. Ooh, it's 299. Man, time flew by. We're almost at 300. Huh. Maybe we should do a giveaway. Huh. Stay tuned. We're going to get this podcast going in just a moment, but before we do, we'd like to thank FreshBooks for their support in sponsoring this episode. FreshBooks is the easy-to-use invoicing software designed to help freelancers and small business owners like us get organized, save time invoicing, and get paid faster. To try FreshBooks free for 30 days, head over to gofreshbooks.com/podketeers, and if they ask, hey, how did you hear about us? Just make sure to enter Podketeers. Finally, before we get this going, we'd like to send a huge shout out to the FGP Squad. If you're new to the podcast, the FGP Squad is an awesome group of listeners just like you that help us out with a monthly contribution via Patreon. And it's that support that helped make these episodes happen. This week, a special thank you goes out to Miguel for becoming the latest member of the FGP Squad family. And if you want more info on how you can join, head over to podketeers.com/FGP for more info. And of course, to all of the members of the FGP Squad, a huge thank you goes out to all of you for your continued support. So, I guess we should get the podcast started, right? Yeah, let's do that. Here we go. This is episode 299 of Podketeers. So that's good.
You can see, the little lines.
It's going, wow, as it's going down, as it's running here. How are you?
Surviving.
Yeah, I get ya.
Yeah.
I get ya. It's been super tough. You know, I have to empathize with all these people that do all these home renovations and stuff, because regardless of the size of the reno, it's a lot something as simple as painting a room. If you're not used to doing that, or, cleaning things off to paint it properly and primering and painting, man, it takes a lot out of you. My body's sore. Yesterday, I was moving furniture and boxes, and I slipped and tweaked my back, and it's been hurting so badly. Thankfully, I had some medication that helped me. But man, all day I haven't been able to move. I'm just now kind of starting to get a little bit more mobility back into my back.
Oh man.
It's that lower back pain that resonates into your neck and shoulders that just makes your head hurt. That's what I've been feeling all day. When I first took the muscle relaxers, it knocked me out. My body was just done. It just knocked me out. And I slept for a few hours. I got up and I felt sore, and I thought, oh man, I can't get anything done. And I like to, work on stuff. I always like to be doing something. And so when I go down like this because of something like this that happened, I kind of feel useless. It's so frustrating to me that I can't get stuff done, and I'm trying to, work on all of this to kind of like, get it all done already, and I'm thinking like, like another day lost because of this. It's like, why can't I be made of adamantium?
Yeah, dude, no, just painting a small bathroom, that for me was a lot, so I can't imagine like a bigger size.
Ugh. It's such a pain. So yeah, anybody that does this for a living, I guess if you do it more often, your muscle memory will kind of help, and it might help with the fatigue. Not that you wouldn't get tired, right? But I guess the movements associated with it, your body's a little more used to it. I am not. So it is kicking my butt. I am just spent right now. I want a nap. In all honesty, I want to nap. I hate to say this, but I want to be done recording so I can go nap again.
I don't blame you. I really don't. I know we got to do this, but it's like there's times where I'm like that too. It's just like, I need to finish this piece. No, I want to go nap.
I know.
I want a break.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. There's tons of stuff that I wanted to talk about. It's a really good mental distraction from everything that's happening for me as well. So I'm going to say something that I think is going to surprise you, but you're going to be happy with all at the same time.
Okay.
I saw Frozen 2.
What?
Yeah, I saw Frozen 2 this weekend.
I just blew up that. Sorry, guys. I just saw everything spike. I'm like, whoa.
I knew it would get you. So
wow.
So first of all, I loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. So my wife and my kids had already seen this film. They actually went to the movie theater to watch it. Unfortunately, the day that they went, I had some issues that I had to deal with, like some family stuff that I had to take care of. So the Blu-ray's out, saw the film, absolutely loved it. I love the fact that they tied it all into the first movie. They did some good character development. I know that there's some people that say that there wasn't enough. I know that there was some complaints and some talk about how there wasn't a lot of advancements in the animation itself. I was okay with it because it just felt like I was watching an extension of the first film. I think that if it was too different, it would have felt much more unlike the first one. And I think what really worked is that it basically picks up right after the last one. Not a lot of time has passed after the first one, and so it works really well. I hadn't heard much about this film. I did my best to kind of stay away from it, and because it's not something that's normally talked about in my social circles, unlike Rise of Skywalker and stuff like that, it was really easy for me not to know a lot about it going into it. So thankfully, nobody had really spoiled the film for me. However, I did kind of figure it out halfway through. And that was the sad part, that because of kind of how things were set up and what they were saying and how things were going, like halfway through the movie, I was like, that's where this is going.
So did you figure out, we could say, well, no, the Blu-ray's out. So you already figured out the voice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dang. See, I didn't.
Yeah, like there was a specific moment right after that scene happened where, they're singing the song and then Elsa goes on her quest and stuff. There was like one particular moment when, by the way, water horses rule. Okay?
Right.
Like, I feel like
Beautiful.
I need me a water horse. There was like one moment right after all of that happened when she's going on her quest where she just heard me say, "Oh, okay." And then at the end, she's all like, "Did you figure out what the film was about? Like, did you figure out who it was?" Like, "Yep." Like, because right before the reveal happens, like I also said, "Oh man," because I was right.
No.
Like I was like, "Oh man, I figured it out." And so it kind of took me out of it a little bit, but yay me for figuring it out, I guess. But it didn't take away from it. I thought it was really well made. I enjoyed the story that they told. It was really weird because I connected with the film very differently than I connected with the first one. I think because of the fact that, everything that I've dealt with in our family in the last 6 months, and the loss that we've experienced and everything,
Mm-hmm.
the way that certain things panned out in the film, like there was one moment where I was like, no, and I felt it to the core, right? And I was like, don't,
Yeah.
no, and then I may have ugly cried a little bit, but
Oh.
overall, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to watch it again. That's how much I enjoyed it.
It's visually stunning
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to watch it again without anybody forcing me to. And I'm hoping to watch it again when my kids are asleep, because most of the time that we were watching this film, they're like, and Dad, watch out. This is what's happening now.
Oh
Dad,
no.
this is great. And then they would turn around and do all this commentary. I'm like, guys, I haven't seen this. Like, you guys saw this already. But, it's fine. So I'm going to watch it again.
All
And
right.
I feel like I'm going to enjoy it this just as much, if not more, than I did the first time.
Mm-hmm. Because you'll get to see a lot more. You'll get to focus on it a little bit better. Yeah, you hit it on the nail. Like, I actually enjoyed this one much more than the first one. Oh, so question: what did you think about Christoph's his song?
Oh my God. It was. I mean, look, definitely not what I was expecting for this film.
Right?
Not even a Disney film at that, but it was like the best thing ever. It was just like reminiscent of the style that it was made in, like
Uh-huh.
all of the shots that they did. That I wasn't like haha laughing inside. I was like, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing I've ever seen. I need to watch this again now. But since the kids were talking, I was kind of annoyed, so it was difficult for me to
Oh.
shut up, like while I was watching this. But yeah, oh man, it was so well done, so unexpected. I'm so
Uh-huh.
glad that they did it, and I've listened to the soundtrack a couple of times, and let me tell you, the songs that Weezer and Panic at the Disco did for this
Mm-hmm.
film, like their renditions of Into the Unknown, and oh man, I forgot what Christoph's song is called.
Into the Woods?
Into the Woods, yeah. They're so good. I'm like so on
Nice.
board with these. Like they are now a permanent part of my playlist on my phone.
So imagine being in a theater and it's just the adults laughing while the kids are like silent because they don't get it.
Oh, yeah, it was
That
so
was.
good. I'm telling you, there was some fadeaway shots that were happening. That's like, oh my
Mhm.
God, yes. Oh, and by the way, Olaf can tell a story.
Yeah.
He's so good at
Right?
it. One of these days,
It-
I'm gonna tell a story Olaf style.
yeah. I'd be okay if more sequels were like that. I'm not saying I want more sequels, but that was really good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So if you haven't seen Frozen 2, I strongly recommend it, even if you weren't too big of a fan of the first one. Like I said,
Like
I think this one
me.
followed it up really well. I don't say that very often outside of
Mhm.
Marvel movies, but this one did
Right.
a really good job of following up the first one, and it's a very rare case of me saying that I actually like this one more than the first one. So
Mhm.
there it is. Finally saw Frozen 2. Yay!
Yay.
Speaking of video stuff, there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring up because I thought this was just super cool. First one is that Pixar made an announcement a couple of days ago on their Instagram that there's going to be a brand new documentary that the women of Pixar actually put together. It's a documentary about the 19th Amendment. Because this year we're celebrating a 100-year anniversary since the passing of the 19th Amendment. In case you're unfamiliar, the 19th Amendment was pretty important to the Constitution because it gave women the right to vote back in 1920. Now, there's a lot of people that argue that, oh, but it only gave white women the right to vote. And to that, I want to say this. There's a lot of things in history that have been super, super messed up. and you can't get to a place of change if you don't start somewhere. And obviously, throughout history, more amendments passed and more changes were made to law so that more women and more people of color could vote. So the 19th Amendment is very important because it did give only white women the right to vote, but it was a start in the right direction. So I completely understand that it didn't give every woman the right to vote. I'm not arguing that, that was good or not, but it was a start. And I think that whenever change is involved with anything, a starting place is needed. You don't get all of the change that you want all at once. So that's why it's a very important amendment. And I'm really curious to see what this documentary entails. Not a lot is known about it outside of that announcement. I don't know where it's going to be released because they didn't say like it's exclusive to Disney Plus or in theaters a month from now or whatever.
General.
Yeah, very, very general. So we'll keep you posted on once more information is released about that documentary. But I think it's going to be good. I'm hoping that there's a lot of really good information. Like I said, it was made by women that work at Pixar. So I don't know if it's going to be an animated feature or if it's going to be like just a general documentary film style. But I'm curious to see what it entails and how it's executed.
Pixar brings out all the emotions. So that's something I'm excited about, is that aspect. Like, they're going to hit things. They're going to do a great job.
Yeah, I think so too. I hope that it isn't done in such a way where people begin to say, oh, it's being watered down because they're trying to tell you this story and they're trying to kick you in the feels. I know, like you said, Pixar is known for amazing storytelling. But I think when it's something this important, I think they're going to give it the respect that it requires, when they're talking about this. And yes, they might pull on some heartstrings, but overall, I think it's going to be a very respectful film.
I'm really, really curious. And we'll find out soon.
Yeah.
About dates and everything.
Yeah, I'm really curious about it. So stay tuned to our Instagram, obviously, because that's where we post a lot of this type of information. You can also join us over on Facebook or our Facebook group. Just search for Podketeers. You can ask to join the group, and you can follow along with us there as well. Also, speaking of the Facebook group, quick shout out to our friend Jill, who helps us out with managing the Facebook group and all of our Facebook posts and stuff. So shout out, Jill. Woo! Also part of the FGP Squad, by the way. Oh, speaking of FGP Squad, you hear that sound right there, Melissa? Yeah! That means we have a new member of the FGP Squad. Woo! Welcome, Miguel, to the FGP Squad.
Nice.
In case you're new to the podcast or just don't know about it, the FGP Squad is an awesome group of listeners just like all of you that help us out with a monthly contribution via Patreon. If you want a little more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad, you can head over to podketeers.com/FGP for more information. And of course, to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your continued support. Oh, hey, I kind of broke my rule on this one, and I decided to just watch the POV ride-through for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Yes, me too.
Oh, you did too?
I'm not waiting 2 years. No.
Okay. All right, so here's the deal. I know I'm usually against it because I just want to experience it. I was super on board, not watching it, not spoiling it for Rise of the Resistance. But this one, it's been so hyped up. The mixture of 3D and 2D and how they were going to put all of this together, that I just got too curious. Like, I wanted to see what it was all about, and it does not disappoint.
Oh, no, not at all. I was curious to see how the rooms would look because I remember the attraction before. So I'm like, how are they going to pull this off? Because it's big spaces. I mean, huge open spaces. I'm like, how is this going to happen? I know that there's a train and I know the elements, but oh my God, was blown away. Whoa. Like, it's going to bring some life to Toontown.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. there's a lot of dark rides that first of all, I do want to say that everything about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway brings in the traditional dark ride elements that just make it fun and exciting and repeatable. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But even that repeatability, after some time, if it's not tweaked a little bit, tends to just get super boring. And that's why we're seeing updates to things like Snow White, for instance.
Right.
Without it being updated, it would become stale and people stop writing it. That's why we saw updates to things like Alice in Wonderland. And I think that every time that they've plussed up those attractions, they just get so much better.
Oh yeah.
This one takes elements from a lot of different attractions. Like they use the trackless system for the vehicles themselves.
Mhm.
They use a lot of projection technology, but there is a lot of physical animatronics, and that's kind of where that
Mhm.
2D/3D element comes in. And it's pulled off so beautifully. It's so colorful.
Uh-huh.
It's so engaging. Uh, I feel like I watched it and I don't care. Like I need to write it. Like it only amped
Yeah.
me up about writing it even more now.
Right? It's just, oh my gosh. I love how you're just surrounded by everything. Oh man, but you hit it. It's just colors and how everything comes together.
Mm-hmm.
It's adorable too. It is so adorable.
They did such a good job with all of the characters.
Mhm.
Plus, I love that there's a little nod to Rollickin' Roadsters in there.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes.
I thought that was super cute of them to add. Like, it's so unexpected that, when it happens, you're like, yes, I know
Mhm.
this. So, yeah, super cool. I am going to put a video that we found on YouTube of somebody that had a chance to ride the attraction over at Walt Disney World. We're still waiting for the Disneyland version to open.
Mhm.
I think that it's going to be very similar to the Walt Disney World one, if not an exact like mirror image of it. So we're pretty much going
Right.
to experience the exact same thing. But I don't know. I feel this is the first time that I've had an opportunity to see an attraction. Maybe I think the only other attraction that I felt like this about was Pirates of the Caribbean in Shanghai. That's
Oh,
probably the
yes.
only other one that I've seen it like I've seen a video and just thought to myself, I need to go to there. And that
Yep.
was the same thing, except for this one, I can just wait a little bit and it'll come to me instead of having to go to Florida and spend $2,000 just to fly out there. So yeah,
Yeah.
super excited about that. We'll post the video in the blog post for the episode over at podketeers.com/299 if you're curious. And if you can wait, unlike we did, um, just then wait, because you're not going
Yeah.
to be disappointed. I feel like you're kind of guaranteed to get something super cool these days whenever Imagineering puts out something new, because the technology has
Yeah.
just gotten so much better in everything that they're putting together, which is part of the reason I'm just so excited about Avengers Campus right now. But like just watching this attraction through, there's I'm telling you, there's so many elements that are just so beautiful, so vibrant. They use a lot of old techniques mixed in with a lot of new techniques, and
Mhm.
I'm in awe.
Mhm.
Well done, Imagineering. Bravo. Bravo.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to be talking a little bit about the coronavirus and kind of, theme parks and everything in general, especially because of how big coverage and stuff has gotten over it. We had a couple of other topics planned for this particular episode, but considering everything that's going on in the world, we figured that it'd be a good time to talk about this right now. So
Yeah.
before we get to that, Grant Imahara, dude, I love you so much. I love
Yes.
you because
Yes.
we reposted a video and a couple of pictures of this animatronic of the child that he made.
Beautiful.
I mean, look, I have not seen more footage of the animatronic that Hasbro's going to be putting out later this fall. And according to some reports, it's going to be fantastic. It's a great animatronic. But man, this looks like
Mm.
spot on.
Yes, seamless. He just like it's perfect. Like the way that it moves, down to the coloring, down to the motion. I mean, just everything. God, you're a genius, Grant.
For real. Like if he can make his animatronic eat a baby frog,
Yes.
that would be the cutest thing ever. Or make it sip out of a little, like make it sip bone broth out of a little bowl.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's it. Obviously, we love the animatronic that he put together. If you haven't seen it, check the Instagram account. We'll also put it in the blog post for the episode. But I think what's coolest about this entire situation is that what he's using it for. Right?
Yes.
It's not just this like
Yes.
cool little project that he decided that he wanted to put together. I mean, if I was putting something like that together, yeah, coolest project ever, right? But I don't
Mhm.
have the technical know-how to put something like this together. So the entire Baby Yoda, so to speak, was a collaborative effort between Grant Imahara, a creator by the name of Lauren Marklin, who created the silicone skin that went around the Baby Yoda, Lindsay Hamilton, who created the coat and the jumpsuit, and the model of the child itself was created by a creator known as Project 842 over on Etsy. His name is Sean Fields. If you head over to his Etsy shop, he's got all sorts of 3D models of different things in the Star Wars universe. Like you can 3D print a helmet inspired by the Mandalorian. You can get an
Nice.
armor, like a Darth Vader 3D printable. And he recently made his 3D model of the child available for download as well. So if you're interested in that, we'll try to put links in the blog post for the episode in case you have a 3D printer or you have access to one and you want to make this yourself. But it's super cool that Grant was able to get together with all of these creators, put this thing together, make this little animatronic Baby Yoda, so to speak. And then on top of all that, he's going to be touring children's hospitals throughout April to take the child to the children.
That is awesome.
Right?
So awesome. Man, and we live for stories like this.
Yeah. Like if there was ever like Teamboat Willie goals, like this is one of them,
Mhm.
right? To create something that's super awesome like this, tour it around, make kids or people happy that, aren't able to go out and experience these things on their own. Because, we've talked
Right.
about how it's very possible that in the future we may see Disney take a step back and say, okay, you know what? We're no longer going to restrict Galaxy's Edge to this timeline. And we're going to start seeing other characters that we haven't seen there before. And
Yeah.
it's very possible that maybe one day we're going to see Mando from The Mandalorian and maybe the child. And if that's the case, you can go and you can get your photo op. We talked about how cool that would be, or maybe that was in the FGP part of the episode. We thought it would be super cool if there was a
Yes.
meet and greet, for the Mandalorian with the child. That was very similar to the Star-Lord and Baby Groot version that they have at Walt Disney World. Now, if
Mhm.
that's the case, and you're an annual pass holder, you can visit Disneyland, that's all good and dandy. You go take your picture if that's the case. But for people that are in hospital beds and they aren't able to go, something like this is super cool. We already
Oh, yes.
see members of the 501st Legion going out and doing these charity events dressed as stormtroopers and going
Yep.
out and, putting these events together. Like I feel like this is an extension of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whichever ways we could make magic for others. I mean, that's what Disney's all about. And why not? Why not be able to do that? Make someone smile. And like you said, I mean, sometimes these kids, they can't even go out for their own safety. So, I mean, why not bring that magic to them? Oh my gosh, thinking about it just makes me happy because they're going to get that smile on their face and you're just going to make their day. And just for once forget, the worries and whatnot. So kudos. Kudos to the team.
Absolutely. I'm sure that at some point, if it hasn't happened already, I'm sure that Grant has connections since he's in the industry. I'm sure he
Mhm.
has connections to people that work at Lucasfilm. I'm sure that he knows people that work at Disney. And at some point, I know that they're going to end up sponsoring something like this or helping him through his journey because of just how noble the idea is and what the
Mhm.
message behind it is. And ultimately, when you have people that are this creative and this talented putting something together, it turns into something bigger. Like, for instance, I'll give you the perfect example. I was so excited to finally see a few weeks back the Pixar in real life short that they put up on Disney Plus that featured
Mhm.
Wally.
Mhm.
Because that robot was made by a gentleman named Mike McMaster, and he's been doing these things like these robots for years. Like he's made R2D2s. I think he made a BB-8. I'm pretty sure I've seen that in his shop before. And he made this Wally years back. He had it at a D23 Expo, and he's kind of popped up at different events all over the country. And I mean, he's super talented, and like it's so spot on the way that he made this Wally robot that I'm sure that Disney or Pixar reached out to him and said, "Hey, we're doing this Pixar in real life thing. Do you want to feature your Wally robot?" And like
Wow.
that's how connections are made. So
That's true.
yeah, I'm super psyched about this. I hope that somehow he's able to post updates, or he's kind of able to give us just a play-by-play of how things go down. I know that when you go and you deal with hospitals and you deal with especially pediatric wards, there's very, very strict rules behind it. There's a lot of HIPAA compliance issues that you run into. So
Mhm.
he may not be able to show us everything, if not anything. But yeah, I just, again, the fact that he's putting this together and the noble gesture behind it, I think is really what makes me so excited about it. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about March Mayhem because, oh man, there are some surprising results. So we're going
We
to talk
got
about
some
March
comments.
Mayhem, and we're going to talk about the coronavirus in just a moment, so stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you with support from FreshBooks. Many years ago, I started doing some freelance work, taking photos for businesses, realtors, engagement sessions, and family photos. One thing that I always struggled with, though, was finding a good solution for invoicing, and that's where FreshBooks came in. FreshBooks is the easy-to-use invoicing software designed to help freelancers and small business owners get organized, save time invoicing, and get paid faster. They offer super simple solutions that let you create and send professional-looking invoices in seconds. On top of that, FreshBooks offers great ways to track time worked, create estimates and quotes. You can run reports to see how you're doing, process payments, and if you ever have any questions, their award-winning support team is there to help. If you're always on the move, don't worry. FreshBooks also has easy-to-use mobile apps for iOS and Android. Getting started with FreshBooks is extremely simple. You can try it free for 30 days by going to gofreshbooks.com/podketeers. You can also find a link in the post for this episode on our website. Also, make sure to enter Podketeers if they ask you how did you hear about us. If you're looking for a way to help your business grow, help you with invoicing and billing, get organized, and more, FreshBooks is there to help. So give it a shot and check out some of the great features that FreshBooks has to offer. That link again is gofreshbooks.com/podketeers. It's time to get back to the show, but we'd like to thank FreshBooks for their support. All right, thanks again to the sponsor of this episode for their help in bringing this episode of Podketeers to you. We were talking a lot about this over the last week, and there's a lot of people that are super scared about the coronavirus, or as it
Mhm.
is technically known, COVID-19. It is something that should arise some concern in all of us, especially considering that not a lot is known about the disease in general. I do believe that the media is, putting a little too much mustard on it in most
I
cases.
agree.
But we should always be prepared,
Oh yeah.
regardless of what it is. I'm not talking about go buy every single roll of toilet paper prepared, but we should be prepared, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to visiting different public places, especially theme parks, you never know what you find once you get there, obviously.
Right.
Especially for a place like Walt Disney World, where, we talked about this with Jason very briefly as we were ending last week's episode. Walt Disney World is a hub for vacationers from all around the world.
Yeah.
Disneyland has a lot of locals. There's not a lot of vacationers. We do get some here. A lot of people that have never visited Walt's Park like to come to Disneyland, but Disneyland itself isn't that resort type destination that Walt Disney World is. So
Right.
there is a little more concern for Disney World because of so many people that funnel through from around the world, especially considering that over the last week, I believe I read that a cast member at Disneyland Paris tested positive for the coronavirus. We've seen reports that Japan closed a lot of its parks. Tokyo
Mhm.
Disneyland, Hong Kong, Shanghai, even Universal Studios Japan, Legoland Japan, they all announced this 2-week closure. And in some
Yeah.
cases, they've been closed since early February, to try to minimize the impact of spreading of the coronavirus. And it's causing some hysteria as far as, Wall Street is concerned because I believe most of those parks are scheduled to reopen on March 16th. But so far, in the last earnings call, I believe that Disney was reporting that they were going to lose approximately 135 million, on
Oh
operation
geez.
income during that quarter because of the closure of those
Yeah.
parks. And you can tell that a lot of companies and a lot of people are definitely taking this serious. Here in California, we know that it's being monitored heavily. We know that
Mhm.
Disney has their finger on the pulse. Dr. Pamela Himmel, who is the chief medical officer for Disney Parks, was quoted as telling CBS LA, as part of our commitment to the health and well being of our cast, guests, and larger community, we are carefully monitoring the evolving coronavirus situation and are in regular contact with health agencies for information and guidance. Walt Disney World Resort and Disneyland Resort are welcoming guests as usual, and we continue to implement preventative measures in line with the recommendations of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and other health agencies. So, Disney is doing their part to try to minimize the impact of the spreading of the coronavirus. It's difficult to fully prepare for something like this because it is something new. We are learning about it, and we are learning about how it
Yeah.
transmits from person to person. We do know that it can transfer through contaminated surfaces, just like a cell phone, a cup, a spoon. Like anything that comes in contact. With you, it can transmit to another
Right.
person. It can be airborne if you're around somebody that coughs or sneezes. You can contract it that way as well. We've been told that masks are not helpful in preventing getting the coronavirus because the viruses can penetrate through the mask itself, but it can limit the spreading of the virus. If you think you have it, obviously try to stay home, contact your
Right.
doctor, let them know that you think you have it, what you're feeling, how you contracted it, who you've come in contact with, if you have an uncontrollable fever, if you have trouble breathing. Those are all signs that you should make your doctor aware of, and they will tell you how to proceed. Obviously, because they want to try to keep as many people safe as well. Um, when it comes to trying to prevent it on yourself, you don't necessarily need antibacterial soap. Regular soap will do, but of course, antibacterial soap
Right.
is great as long as you do it
Mm-hmm.
right. And by right, we mean you
Right.
need to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Take some soap, a good, I don't know, what, a quarter size, right? A quarter,
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, like take about a quarter
Quarter's fine.
size, yeah, of soap. Get some water, lather up your hands, wash between your fingers, wash all over, the tops of your hands. If you can, kind of clean underneath your nails where you can get obviously some debris and some bacteria underneath there. So if you're a nail biter, like I was for many years, if you tend to
Same.
suck on your thumb, try to break that habit. Anything that makes contact with your mouth or your eyes, try to break those habits because that is a really huge way of spreading this disease. So wash your hands for 20 seconds. If you come in contact with raw food, with, I don't know, if you sneeze, make sure that you're sneezing into a tissue and tossing it, in the trash can immediately after. Wash your hands after. And of course, if you don't have access to soap and a sink, make sure that you have hand sanitizer that is at least 60% alcohol. Most hand sanitizers that you purchase, even at like the 99-cent store or Walmart or Target, are
Mm-hmm.
traditionally 63 to 65% alcohol, so you should be safe with all of those. Make sure that after you use it, lather up your hands the same way that you would as if you were washing your hands, but don't wash it off. Don't wipe it. Don't, go rinse your hands underneath something because it's counterproductive. If you're using hand sanitizer, obviously
Right.
you want it to kill the germs that you have on there. If you're going to a theme park, obviously there's a lot of unknown variables as far as who might have it, but you can control what you come in contact with. Being in theme parks, you're always touching the
Yes.
handrails that are on the sides. You're always leaning on stuff. You're always, in the trajectory of people sneezing and coughing. If that happens, you know, be as polite as possible and say, hey, can you please cough into your shoulder or move away from there as quickly as possible? I know that this would be the best
Mm-hmm.
time for people to just let it all out and just be like, how dare you cough in front of it? I think we can control ourselves. I think we can, be as civil as possible when it comes to something like this. We're all trying to
Yes.
enjoy our day. And for the most part, they could just be choking on a piece of gum or something or a granola bar that they just bit into, right? So you don't know what's happening. So try to monitor the situation, kind of read what's going
True.
on, and then handle it accordingly. If you're very concerned, walk away from the area. You can come back. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do that particular thing at
I do
that
that.
very moment. So as far as taking your children,
Yeah.
that I believe is going to be the hardest thing to monitor if you're going to a theme park because it's difficult even for adults, especially if you're in used to like rubbing your eyes, if you have allergies. With children especially, it's super super difficult at times because you can imagine how difficult it is for them if it's difficult for adults. They don't have that filter.
Right.
They're just very reactive to things, so they don't have that in their mind that tells them, oh no, I'm going to get this disease. When it comes to trying to teach your kids, the hygiene that is needed to make sure that things like this don't spread. We've had this talk with our kids. They had that talk with them at school. We've really pressed the wash your hands for 20 seconds. Don't put things in your mouth that don't belong in your mouth. Something as simple as, oh, I'm playing with these Legos and I'm using my teeth to separate them.
Ooh, I'm
Squash
guilty.
that. Use the little plier, use the little separator. And it's
Yep.
just a matter of teaching them to go about their business in a different way. And it might take a few times for you to, really get it in there, but be
Mm-hmm.
vigilant. And especially when you're going out to these theme parks, be vigilant about what they're touching. And if they've been touching the handrails, don't hand them a snack that they're immediately going to put in their mouth. clean their hands, wash their hands, have something that you make sure that they'll be able to eat properly and they won't accidentally contract anything. And it's not even for the coronavirus, right? It's just in general. Like, you can
Anything.
catch the flu, you can catch all sorts of things just from these germs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are going to be like, well, that's how you build up tolerance. And you know what? To a certain extent, I totally agree with you. This is a slightly different case, though, because there is no known cure or immunization for the coronavirus.
Right.
And that's what makes this difficult, and that's what makes this a little scary, and in most cases makes people buy out all the toilet paper at the Vons because they
Right.
don't know what to expect, right? And then they hear all these crazy things in the news, and they're like, oh no, zombie apocalypse, right? So chill,
Mm-hmm.
take a deep breath. For the most part, it's going to be okay. I think we're going to be hearing about these cases over the course of the next year. Be vigilant of yourself, be vigilant of your children. Try to keep as clean as possible. And if you want to go out and experience things at the parks, enjoy yourself. Yes, but be careful. Make sure that you have sufficient things to clean your hands, clean your mouth. If you see something suspicious, especially with anybody that's handling your food, make sure to report it. But I think for the most part, until we see more cases in the area,
Mm-hmm.
I personally feel that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, as long as you guys are just taking care of, what you're doing, just be aware of your surroundings. I actually have done this. I mean, I don't know if this is like as good as a mask, but I've actually had someone in front of me at Disneyland. They may have had a cold or maybe they had an allergy and they sneezed, and that the wind is coming in your direction. I'll shut my mouth. I'll walk as fast as I can, hold my breath, go somewhere opposite, and breathe. Like, I've done that. Just so I don't just inhale anything. Like, if I notice that someone did sneeze. Um, but yeah, what you mentioned, sneezing into your elbow, your sleeve, things like that. If we just continue to do that, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's just a little worrisome for those who have compromised immune systems, if they're elderly, or if they have existing health problems. Those are the folks that we really need to take care and watch out for, that they just stay safe
Yeah.
and, everything is just, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
No more
So
toilet paper. I need some.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can continue living your life. Obviously, if you do feel sick again, make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you monitor what's going on. Talk to your doctor if you feel like you've contracted something. And don't go to school, don't go to work, don't go to public places until what could be going on, or you get tested if you really feel that you've contracted it. But for the most part, we can continue living our lives.
Yeah.
I don't think it's at a point, at least here in the United States, where it's to the point where you have to buy out all the toilet paper yet, and hopefully it doesn't get to that.
Right.
Because this last week it's just been super difficult finding a lot of things in stores. Like, we've been seeing all these reports about hand sanitizer and toilet paper, and different hygiene products, and the price gouging that's been going on, like on eBay and Amazon. And it's so sneaky how some of these vendors are getting away with these insane price hikes, which, by the way, eBay and
Yeah.
Amazon don't allow, but they're classifying it as, like, this is one of the most creative ones that I read about. I forgot who posted this in a news report, but there was a vendor on Amazon who posted a 24 pack of the little trial size Purells for $400 because it was a quote
What?
unquote collectible. That's how they got
No.
around it. They called it a collectible and were able to price it that high, so they could get around the price gouging, like, rules and regulations that they have. So I'm glad that eBay and Amazon are doing their part to police those things, and
Yes, thank
be
you.
careful. Make sure that you're not, falling for those things. Yes, we should be prepared for stuff, but when it comes to prepared, like water, food wise, man, we're an earthquake country, y'all. Like that's just something we
Right.
gotta be prepared for anyway. Like this is
Right.
just an extension of our preparedness. So make sure that there are regulations about how much water, how much food, how much stuff you should have per person in your household, and whenever
Mhm.
you can prepare for that, that's kind of how you prepare for an emergency. As far as the coronavirus itself, there's a lot of really great facts and information on the CDC website. So in the blog post for the episode over at podketeers.com/299, we're going to put the link to the CDC website that talks all about the coronavirus, COVID-19. It gives you some information on how it spreads, how to prevent it, or how to minimize, possibly getting it, because you can't prevent it. There's no immunization or anything for it.
Right.
So we're going to leave that information there in case you guys want to read that if you haven't yet. I think in general, most people are scared of what's happening again because of what the media is saying about it. But also at the same time, there are a lot of unknown factors that,
Yeah.
we're just unfamiliar with this. And those things can be scary. But if you take precautions, you minimize the possibility of actually contracting it. And if you're super super concerned about it, then just don't go. Bottom
Yeah.
line, like the best way to obviously prevent it is don't put yourself in a place or a situation where you're going to find yourself possibly getting it. So if like Mel said, if you have like a compromised immune system, or if you have a weak immune system because you've been sick recently, or pre-existing conditions, elderly, whatever the case is, if you're predisposed, don't put yourself in a situation where you possibly could contract it, because then they could spread it to other people in your family, and it's just a domino effect from there.
Yeah.
So
Better be safe than sorry.
absolutely. Yeah, weird place to end on. Like, I feel like we're always trying to end on a really super happy note, but I feel like this was really important for us to talk about,
Oh
especially
yeah.
considering that it's just there's a lot of stuff going on around it. We're not health experts, we're not medical
Not at
experts in
all.
any way, but this is some of the stuff that we've learned about it. And if there's anything that you want to share that you've learned about it, please join the conversation over on Instagram, Facebook, or on Twitter. Just search for Podketeers, leave a comment. Let's start a conversation, and that way
Mhm.
people can learn new things about it. A lot hasn't changed about what we know about this one since about mid-February or so. So that
Yeah.
was the last update on the CDC website. But as soon as anything new is known, they're gonna update it there. Okay, so one last thing that we wanted to bring up: March Mayhem.
What
Melissa,
happened?
Melissa, Melissa, Melissa. So
What happened?
I know. I Look, I'm not good at the sports thing, right? I already know this. I already knew that I'm not great at selecting winners of these brackets or anything, but only two of my predictions so far have like made it through.
Cinderella didn't make it through.
No, that was like
What?
I had Cinderella winning the whole thing.
Me too. At first, I did too, and then I changed it. But I'm like, what? She didn't even make it the first round.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't even think that Peter Pan was going to pull off the upset that it did.
that was that was something.
It was. I mean, it was like 67% over 33 for Peter Pan.
Uh-huh.
It was insane. Like, I get it. I love Peter
Yeah.
Pan, but I don't know. It definitely did not go like I was expecting. The Aladdin versus Lion King, man,
Yeah.
that was a tight race until the end. It was 50-50 for a long time. Like,
Wow.
it was crazy because I was kind of monitoring the votes, and I
Mhm.
would see them come in. It hit 50-50. listener and good friend of the show, Sarah, was commenting along the way, and she's like, I don't know what to do. It's 50-50. Like, I love both of these. And she was like wrecking her brain as well, because some of these, you just don't know how to go. You know, you have to follow your heart. There was a lot of people that were commenting and asking us, you know, how are you gauging this? Is it like box office numbers? Are you gauging this? Are you gauging that? And I was simply saying, just follow your heart. Which one do you connect more with? That's really how you should vote. Forget about the numbers. Forget about everything else. Which one do you like more? And that's how most people were voting. So yeah, Lion King versus Aladdin, super tight race up until the end. 50-50, like one would go to 51%, the other one would overtake it back to 51, and so on and so forth. And then in the last hour of voting, Aladdin hit 55% and beat out the Lion King. So that one was just exciting to watch. And I remember during the Frozen, again, also one that I chose to win, and it didn't. But between Frozen and Princess and the Frog, that one was a bit of a tight race at the beginning. But halfway through the voting process, we just began to see that Tiana took the lead. And it overcame Queen Elsa and took the win for Princess and the Frog. Also, in the very, very first match that we had, Snow White versus Bambi. Oh, Bambi.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Bambi. I felt so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what voting is going to be like for anything else, but I don't anticipate anything else losing as badly as Bambi did in that first match.
I'm actually afraid of the next one because I know Peter Pan is going to go against Sleeping Beauty. I'm terrified.
Like, follow your heart.
I'm so terrified. I was hoping. I know. I don't know.
Follow your heart and always let your conscience be your guide. I know it has nothing to do with those two, but, you know, it just felt like the proper moment to really throw that out there.
Like, everyone's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that it's not from either one of those two films, but it felt like the right moment to follow something like follow your heart and always let your conscience be your guide. I don't know. It just felt right. So, yeah, March Mayhem continues. I believe the next matchup that's happening is going to be Zootopia versus Moana. And then after that is going to be Sleeping Beauty versus Alice in Wonderland. And then Beauty and the Beast versus Little Mermaid. And that's going to finalize all of those first round matchups. Going to go into round 2. And that's where I think it's going to get super, super, super interesting.
I was going to say, I'm looking forward to the next rounds. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, look, I suck at this because the person or the film that I thought was going to take it all the way didn't. And I feel like even if I adjusted at this point and I thought, okay, well, of the winners, I'm now going to try to choose a winner, I'm going to suck it up too. And I'm going to get it wrong as well. And I mean, that's why I don't play sports bets, because I'm just not good at it.
That's the beauty of it.
I'm going to be like, oh, who's going to win? I'm like, 3 caballeros.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, there's a lot of that. We've had a lot of comments about different films and like, why didn't this film make it in? Why didn't that one make it in? And it was difficult narrowing it down. You know, I think the films that made it into the bracket are really representative for a very large group of people. You know, and yes, there are some films that are absolutely memorable, like Hercules, for instance.
Yes.
But I don't think that they represent this huge sector of people the way that an Aladdin or a Beauty and the Beast or a Little Mermaid do in general, right? So, plus, I mean, when you really think about it, there's so many great films in every era, and we had to choose 4. I mean,
and look, we couldn't.
No, and you know what? Honestly, like next year's March Mayhem, I've been thinking about it because every year we've tried to have a different theme. I feel like next year we can even have part 2 of this particular one and choose 4 totally different ones from each era and then choose that winner.
I think we should do underdogs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like most underrated films. Like I'm already nominating Meet the Robinsons for one of them.
Atlantis.
Oh yeah. I know people are mad. Treasure Planet, Chicken Little. I don't know. We'll see. So again, if you're not following us on Instagram, make sure that you are. Just search for Podketeers, Podketeers. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, search for Podketeers as well. Or go to podketeers.com and you can follow along there. You'll see the March Mayhem logo. You can go to the March Mayhem page and see the schedule of upcoming matches, who's won, so who's advanced. And we're updating the bracket on that page every single day. So you can bookmark it, check back every day for the winners so far. But yeah, I'm super excited about how it's going to go. I know I'm going to get it wrong. I'm still excited. I don't even care. So that's it. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Otherwise, I'm going to keep rambling. And let me tell you, my back is killing me. That's probably why I'm just like rambling, because I'm just like trying to get my mind off of it. So that's it. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and always remember to pass on the magic. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.